Hey there, welcome to Harvest to You. I'm Pastor Marc, and we are really glad you're joining us today. If you'd like to connect with us or learn more, head on over to harvesttoyou.org. If you're near us in Armstrong, Butler, Allegheny, or Westmoreland County, we would love to meet you in person. Join us any Sunday, 9 o'clock or 10:45. We'd be honored to have you.
Well, if you have a Bible, go to Proverbs. We will be in a few different places this morning, including Proverbs. We'll start our journey there. Wanted to start by letting you know something that most of you would know, but some of you are brand new and you don't know me. I'm Marc. I'm one of the pastors here, and I have 4 brothers. I am the middle of 5 boys. There are no sisters, and that home growing up is probably exactly as you would imagine. Lots of sports, lots of fighting, lots of testosterone, and a mother who has an iron will and a lot of patience and even some gray hair now. But 5 boys. What you may not know is that me and my brothers are still very close. We call each other very regularly. We have a text message thread that is constantly dinging and buzzing. We have a Marco Polo group, which is a video messaging app where we're sending polos to each other. We have an Instagram thread where we're sharing things with each other, and that is as goofy and off the wall as you could possibly imagine. And we talk a lot. We're very close. In recent years, we have developed a habit of taking an annual brothers trip. A couple years ago, we were in Tennessee. I guess a year or so ago, we were in North Carolina. This year, our brothers trip was in Colorado. We had an idea that we would go hiking in Colorado and try to summit a 14er. A 14er is a 14,000-foot peak, and they say that 0.5% of people have gotten on top of a 14,000-foot peak by hiking it. And we thought, well, this would be a great goal. This would be a lot of fun. We'll see if we can make it. It's going to take some days to get to the top of it, but let's go give it a go. So we did. In June, my family went to California to see my wife's family, and I did leave my wife and children with her family for a few days, and I bounced over to Durango, Colorado, where the brothers converged, and we spent the night in Durango. We got some dinner, and then the next morning, we got on a train at about 7:30 in the morning, and just like a casual-looking boxcar train. They took our rucksacks, they threw them in the boxcar, and they put us in there, and we started training through the mountains. So about 3 hours later, we approached, they asked us when we got on, the conductor, like, where are you going today? We're like, we want to go to Needleton Creek. He said, I know where that is. So they stopped the train in the middle of nowhere. There's a creek, and there's a bridge, and that's it. And they dropped us off. And it was a Friday, about 11 a.m., and he said, about 11 a.m. on Monday, we'll be back by. Stand on the side of the tracks and do this. And we'll stop. And we thought they were pranking us. And like, no, seriously, that's the move. I'm like the Cupid shuffle, like how low can you go move? Like, that's the move? Then that's the move. All right, we'll do it. So they left, and off we went to hike. And our first day was to try to get to about 11,000 feet. Our goal was to get to the base in 11,000, and we had many miles to go, and so off we went. It took the whole day. It was longer or more grueling than we had anticipated, but we made it. The next day, we set up, camp. We're in our tents. The next day, we kind of moseyed around the basin, hung out, threw rocks at the mountain goats or the deer or elk or whatever, and we're just having fun. And the following day, we said, well, let's try to get up on top of the mountain. So we did. We took off. It was Sunday, actually. And we start to go up the mountain, 11,000 feet, 11,500, 12,000, 12,500. And you're going, and you're finally to this point where, like, you can see the summit. Like, it's getting close, and you're getting excited. We got to about 13,000 feet, and the snow was still so deep that we couldn't go any further. It was literally impassable. You'd take a step and your whole leg would sink in the snow. We probably should have been there in July and allowed that snow to melt, but there we were. We were stuck. So we ate lunch on top of the mountain. I think we have a picture or so of that. That one I think is of the basin, but we were up high eating lunch, tooting some little oxygen canisters. We were sipping on those a little bit, and then we came back down. We didn't make our goal, but we had a great time. I mean, literally, made so many memories, so many conversations, so many laughs. Monday, we got out of there. We did, in fact, catch the train and got back to Durango, went back home, and just had so many memories. I say all that to say, me and my brothers are very close. And we have a lot of conversations, we have a lot of fun. And it's amazing to me, shocking almost, when I read a verse in Proverbs that talks about brothers in contrast to friends. And here's what it says in Proverbs chapter number 18. It says, a man that has friends must show himself friendly, and there is a friend that sticks closer than a brother. Now that strikes me as someone who has 4 brothers, that there is such a thing in friendship, that there's a potential and a power in friendship that it could outshine your sibling relationships. That there's such potential in a good friend that you could have a quality of a relationship that was such that it superseded your blood relationships. Some of you know what this is like, and that perhaps you don't have great relationships with your siblings, or perhaps you do, but you just have a best friend, and you would say that my relationship with my friend or friends does in fact outshine my sibling relationships. Well, then you know the potential power in a friendship. And I want to talk to you a little bit this morning about the gift of friendship. What are friends? Why are they important? This is our friend day. Some of you are here because a friend invited you, and we're going to have a lot of fun today. We're going to have tacos and bounce house for the kids, and we're going to put the Steeler game on, and it's going to be a blast. But I want to talk to you a little bit about the gift of friendship, and I just want you to see the importance of it first. You know, from a Christian perspective, from a theological perspective, you are shaped for friends. This is something that isn't entirely unique to Christianity, but in many ways is unique to Christianity. That Christianity says you are literally made and designed by God to have other relationships, human relationships, and there is a quality of life that you will not have in your life if you don't have these. This is best probably shown in Genesis chapter 1 and 2, where there's this cadence, this rhythm to Genesis. It's the creation account. And the account goes like this. God made this and it was good. God did this and it was good. God made this and it was very good. So on and so forth. That's the rhythm. But then you get to chapter 2 and there's this moment that grabs you where it says this was not good. And it's not because sin entered. It's not because there's something wrong. But it says it's not good. And it's Genesis 2 verse 18 where God says it is not good that man should be alone, so I'll make a helpmeet for him. It is not good that this man, Adam, who's in paradise, mind you, no sin, no sickness, no death, no disease, no war, no crime, he's in paradise and has a relationship with God, but God sees something in him that he is unfulfilled, unhappy, something's missing, and that thing that is missing is he's lonely and he needs a companion. He needs a friend, he needs a wife, he needs some other relationship. And God says it's not good that he should be alone. Now, you may be tempted to think, well, if this guy is in paradise and he has God there as well, and something is not like right in his soul, so to speak, or he's lonely, that must be a flaw in the design model. Like paradise should be enough. Well, no, the design was intentional and purposeful, that he was designed for companionship and relationship and friendship. You say, how do you know he was designed that way? Because we're told this. We're told in the creation account of Adam that God said, Genesis 1, let us, and I would emphasize the us, make man in our, plural, image. Man will be made in the image of God, and in the middle of this made in the image of God, there's us and our. You say, who's God talking to? Well, he's talking to himself. Christians are unique in that we believe in the Trinity. We believe in a triune God. There is a God who exists in 3 persons, Father, Son, and Spirit, and those 3 are co-equal and co-eternal. And you could put it this way, that from eternity past, there has been a friendship of divine persons. That Father, Son, and Spirit are together, infinitely and perfectly sharing love to each other, knowledge of each other, joy in each other. And that there's this eternal friendship that is God. And God makes man in his image and says, well, man needs to not be alone and man needs friends too. That's how we're designed. This is not an atheistic perspective. This is not a Darwinian evolutionary perspective. This is a Christian perspective that we are shaped by God literally for friends. There's something missing in you. There's something broken in you. There's something unhealthy in you if you don't have quality friends. In some ways, we can see this as the subtext to really tragic moments in our culture. We have been living through one of those this week. Most of you would know that what has captured the headlines over the course of this week has been the murder of Charlie Kirk. We have these moments often as a country where someone drives a car down Bourbon Street and kills 10 people in New Orleans, or someone shoots Charlie Kirk, or someone shoots a school, or these moments of violence. And we tend to speculate as to who did this and why were they motivated. And even on this one, I don't know. Was this political violence and someone didn't like his political stance, it's politically motivated? Was this religious violence? They didn't like the fact that Charlie's an outspoken Christian and Charlie could be thought of more as a martyr for his faith? Is this something that was more just someone's unhinged and a madman and they just want to do something violent for the fun of it? I don't know, but I think that we can all agree that these moments are utterly maddening and discouraging even and very sad. I think we can all agree on that. What's interesting is that as investigators piece together the puzzle that is who is the suspect, who is the guilty culprit, why did they do these things over and over and over again, not 100% uniformly, but almost 100% of the time, you will find that the person who commits acts of violence like this is someone who is a loner. The vast majority of the time, there is an extreme lack of human connection with other people, and there are zero quality friends in their life. Now, that should not be the headline of these violent moments, but I think it is a subtext to speak to the reality that when you don't have relationships or friendships in your life, it's unhealthy for you. It's not good for your soul. You're not made to be alone. You're not. You're designed for friends. You're made for friends. You're shaped for friends. But you also have to know that you're shaped by your friends. You're shaped for friends. You're also shaped by friends. Proverbs tells us that the person who walks with a wise man shall be wise, but a companion of fools will be destroyed. Now that's a really simple, customarily speaking, true statement. If you surround yourself with people that are wiser than you surround yourself with people that are better at money than you, maybe better at marriage than you, maybe they've raised some kids and they've done it right and their kids actually have a good relationship with their adult parents now. They're better at mechanics than you. They're better at work than you. They perform better. They get more sales, whatever it may be. If you walk and associate with those people and spend time with those people and pick their brains, guess what? The companion of a wise man will tend to be a wise person, but a companion of fools ends up being destroyed. You start to associate with people that have no plan for their life, have no direction for their life, they're apathetic in their work, they're nonchalant in their relationships or their marriages, they don't show up for their friends, they're complacent, they're party things who just want to have fun all the time, but they can never be serious. You start to surround yourself with fools, and guess what? Life will not go well. That's how it is. There's no exceptions really to that rule. It's just how it's going to go. I would put it this way: if you show me your friends, I'll show you your future. Show me who your friends are, I'll show you what your future is going to be. Because you are, generally speaking, the average of your closest friends. I want you to do an exercise with me this morning. Inside of your bulletin here, there is a little list. And I want you to find a pen. There's one in the seat back if you don't have one on you. And I want you to do me a favor. I want you to write your 5 closest friends. Don't overthink it. Don't be worried that someone's going to take a picture of it and share it with someone who's not on their list and they're going to be mad at you. Just 5 closest friends. We'll do non-family, okay? Not a spouse, not a brother. I could have had like 4 slots, really easy with 4 brothers, but not a brother, not a dog, okay? Not your imaginary friend, a real person. Write down, go ahead. Some of you are looking at me like, do I seriously need to write them down? Yeah, come on, write them down. This will be helpful for you. You say, this sounds like I'm in third grade and you're making me pick the 5 friends to invite to my birthday party because I can't have all my friends, but I need to only choose 5. I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry. Not sorry. 5 friends, got them? As a rule of thumb, sociologists tell us that you're the average of your 5 closest friends. Generally speaking, if you wrote 5 people down, you're probably in the middle of those 5 friends financially. You probably have some friends that are a little worse off than you. You probably have some friends that are a little better off, but you're probably in the middle of them. Generally speaking, if you spent last weekend partying and painting the town red, you probably got 4 friends on your list who also party and paint the town red. If you are on fire for God, there's a fervency and a love for God, and you want to live a life of wisdom and righteousness, I'm willing to bet that 3 or 4 of the friends on your list also have a love for God, and they want to live for God. It's just how it works. You show me your list of your closest friends, and I'm going to show you your future. Because the person who walks with wise men will be wise, and a companion of fools will be destroyed. You walk with wise people, they'll raise you to their level, your life will be better off. You walk with foolish people, they will bring you down, they will be a drag on your life, and it will not go well for you. Now, if there's people on your list, if you go to make that list, and some of you would write your list and you'd be like, 1, 2, 3, do I have a 4th or a 5th? And you're like, I need more friends in my life. Come back next week. We're going to do part 2 of the sermon. We're going to talk about how to make friends. If you write your list and you're like, those 3 probably, I'm more of the companion of fools, that's not the best people, then we're going to talk next week about how to unfriend someone literally in a gracious, loving, not cut them off, but how to associate or maybe even disassociate with those people. This is something no one ever teaches us, but it's an art that you have to learn because sometimes there's someone on your list who they're not a good influence on you and you have to say no to them. We're going to give you some ingredients of friendship next week. It's going to be awesome. It's part 2 of a 2-part series. Come next week. But until then, just know this. You show me your friends, I'll show you your future. Now, why is that? It's because friends are important. You're shaped for them, you're shaped by them. There's no way around that. It's how it is. I'll give you a couple ingredients for friends here in a moment, but let me start by acknowledging the reality that we live in as a culture, and let me give you a few impediments to friendship. I firmly believe, I do not have a verse for this, so take it with a grain of salt, but I firmly believe that it is harder than ever to have quality friends. The data points to this. The American Sociological Review has done surveys and data and averages for many years on friends. What they found 35 years ago is that the average American had 6 close friends. Some had 4, some had 8, but on average, 6 bosom buddies, 6 close friends. Today, anyone want to take a guess at what that number is? I'll give you a hint. It's not 6 or more than 6. It's gotten worse. If it's less than 6, they're going to fit on one hand, okay? Give me what you think the average is today. Show me some fingers. What do you got? I got some 1, some 3, okay? I mean, you got like a 1 in 5 chance of hitting this, okay? If you guessed 2, give yourself a round of applause, okay? You were wrong. No, I'm just kidding. 2 was it. It was 2. It was 2. In 35 years, we've gone from an average of 6, and we've cut out almost 70% of our friend portfolio. We're down to 2. 25% of Americans said they had 0. They have no one that they talk to, even on a monthly basis, about what's really happening in their life, what they're feeling, what they're going through. They had 0. That's a problem. That's a big problem. Why is that? Why have we gone from a friend portfolio that's this size to cutting it into 1/3 on average? Well, there's a lot of reasons for that, but let me machine gun a few at you. One of them would be mobility. The mobility of our society where people can be more transient. It is very customary now, instead of staying in the place that you were born and raised and being in that community and having your friends from high school, that people spread their wings and they go fly off to other places, and families and friendships get disconnected. I would be an example of this. I did not grow up in this area. I grew up in Louisville, Kentucky, and I'm a transplant into this area. Now, I will say this area is unique in a good way. I've spent a lot of time in Louisville, Kentucky, born and raised. I went to college in Arkansas. I lived in Southern California. I lived in Northern California. All of those places were far more transient than Western Pennsylvania, and I'm grateful for that. There is a family kind of nature to this area, and I had never seen family compounds where grandma, grandpa bought 50 acres, and then the kids built on the land, and then the grandkids built on the land, sort of thing. I was like, what is this? I just call them the family compounds. It's a thing that's here because this area is a bit more magnetizing and sticky, I think, than most. I'm so grateful for that. But the reality is our culture, our society is far more mobile than we used to be, and we ping pong around quite a bit. Some of it is increased work hours, where we're just too busy. I would love to invest in my friendships and my relationships. I'd love to call them. I'd love to hang out with them. I'd love to do a bonfire with them. I'm just busy. I'm running 24/7. I don't have time. Some of this is higher divorce rates. This is one of the negative effects of divorce, is that friendships suffer. This happens for the couple that gets divorced. Because let's say that she married him. We'll call her Jane. And Jane had a childhood best friend. And guess what? Jane's childhood best friend got married and she had a husband. So the couples would get together and they'd hang out, the four of them. Husband and wife, and they'd have a good time. But then Jane got divorced from her husband. And guess what? Now the husband, it's awkward for him to hang out with Jane's best friend's husband because it was that was Jane's friend. She had claim on him first, and all of a sudden those relationships get fractured. This happens for the kids. Now, instead of a kid living in a community in a neighborhood with other kids who live in the community in the neighborhood, the kid spends half the time in that neighborhood and half the time in the other neighborhood. And the kids who live in those neighborhoods, maybe their parents are divorced too, so they spend half the time in that neighborhood and half the time in the other neighborhood. And guess what? They're just never around enough. Statistically speaking, there's 25% of the time that they used to have to actually be with those friends and make relationships and go ride bikes with them and go fish with them and go play sports with them because they're ping-ponging from this home to that home and the other kids ping-ponging from that home to that home, and it makes relationships harder. It makes friendships harder. It just does. You're not around each other enough. So this contributes to it. Social media obviously contributes to this. The paradox of the 21st century is that we've never been more connected, yet many people have never felt more alone. Where I have 1,000 friends online, but none of them know me on a deep level, and we've economized our friendships and collect them like postage stamps. But there's not a real deep connection, and we can be a mile wide and an inch deep in our friendships if we're not careful. Some of it is that it's seemingly optional. This is kind of true for every culture, to tell you the truth, that every culture puts friends in the back seat. Friendships are always secondary. In our culture, we're individualistic. We're a very individualistic society, so what matters to us as individuals as we grow older is not our relationship with our parents, that's not the number one relationship, or our relationship with our neighbors, that's not number one. Our number one relationship and what we look at and what we idolize are romantic relationships. This is why there's rom-coms, but there's not friend-coms, because we idolize the romance. This is why if you take all the songs written on romance, it's like a mountain of songs, but if you take the songs written on friendship, it's this little molehill of songs. There's not very many of them. By the way, if you want a good one, Ben Rector's Old Friends, highly recommend. I listened to that song several times this week. It's not really Christian, but it's just a great song about old friends. But there's very few friendship songs. Why is that? Well, because friendships play second fiddle. The romantic relationship is first. I'm not even saying that's a bad thing that romantic relationships are first. I am saying, though, when romantic relationships become so paramount that they drown out any friendships that you've had, and now there's no longer time for that, that's a problem. You need friends in your life. So here's the reality. The reality is We are made and designed by God for friends, and our friends have a massive impact on our life, but sometimes we find ourselves where we have the wrong friends, or oftentimes we just have a lack of friends. What do we do with that? Well, you can start to prioritize your friendships, but just putting a premium on it isn't really enough. You have to know how to be a friend. You have to know what you're looking for in a friend. And thankfully, the Bible gives us a ton of wisdom on what you should be looking for and how you should behave as a friend. There are a handful of ingredients. I'll give you a few next week, but I want to give you 2 today. These are, I think, the staples, the 2 primary ingredients of what it means to really be a good friend. Ingredient number 1 is constancy. It's the idea of faithfulness, that you're there. Listen to the words of Proverbs in Proverbs chapter 19. This is a sad, sad verse, or 2 verses, but it gives you how it really is. It says, many will entreat the favor of the prince, and every man is a friend to him that gives gifts. Oprah had everyone that wanted to be on her show after she said, you get a car, you get a car, you get a car. Everyone wanted to be there. Why? Because she's giving out cars. I said, you have someone with money that's giving out gifts to everybody? People will line up at the door to be their friend. Count me in. That sounds fantastic. But listen to this. The brothers of the poor do hate him. Huh? How much more do his friends go far from him? His friends are running from him because he's poor? He pursues them with words, yet they're wanting to him. Hey, where are you? Come over. Hang out with me. I've missed you. Let's talk. Let's catch up. Let's get lunch. What is that saying? Is it saying that if you don't have money, no one will be your friend? No. What it's saying is that many relationships are transactional. It's just telling you how it is. I hate that it's this way, but it is. Many relationships, as long as you're there and you're putting out and they're getting some sort of personal benefit from it, they'll be your friend. But the moment that your utility dries up, they're not your friend anymore. You used to have money and you used to give them gifts. I'm your friend. Now you don't have money, you can't give gifts. They're gone. Where are they? Can't get a hold of them. That's saying that many times, even customarily, there are acquaintances, there are even supposed friends, but they're not real friends because they're a user. They're there as long as you provide some sort of benefit to them, but the moment that's gone, they're gone. And they're not a real friend. This is why Proverbs 20 will tell us that every man will proclaim his own goodness. Everyone's going to say, I'll be there for you. I'm true blue, ride or die, thick and thin. I'm your friend. But a faithful man who can find. What's that saying? It's saying good friends don't grow on trees. Someone who will be there, they'll be faithful, they'll be constant, they'll be there when you have money, they'll be there when you're broke, they'll be there at your wedding, they'll be there when you get divorced, they'll be there through all of it, through the ups and downs. It doesn't matter what you're going through. They're just your friend. They're there. They're faithful. That's hard to find. But the point is that real friends are this way. Real friends are supposed to have a measure of constancy and faithfulness to them, which is why Proverbs 17 tells us that a real friend, loves at all times. A real friend will be there. Good times, bad times, routine times. They'll be there. This does mean that you can't have 100 real friends. I hate to break it to you. Why does it mean that? Well, because you can't be there for 100 people all at once. It's logistically impossible for you to have the time to show up and be a midnight friend for all of the people all at once. You're going to have a small little handful of 5, probably 10 at the most, real friends that they're constant for you and you're constant for them and you can be there. If you can have 5, you're probably blessed to have a real friend like that that's constant, that's there. They'll stick always. They'll show up. You're not going to inconvenience them. That's a mark of a real friend. That's the kind of friend you want to be. It's helpful for you to look at even making this list to say, okay, if these are my 5 closest friends and I want them to be my 5 closest friends, then you need to exhibit this sort of constancy in your relationship with them. If they're in your top 5, then you need to show up for them. So there's constancy, but there's also transparency. This is the idea that a friend lets you in. A real friend, they're not scared to share their deepest feelings with you, what they're going through, how it's affecting them. They're not scared to show you their normal life. You know how you can know if they're the real friend or not? Will you let them see you with your makeup off? Will you let them come to your house when it's not clean at all? The kids have been little Tasmanian devils, and it's a mess, but they can come on over, and you don't feel the need that you have to pick up? Why is that kind of a good measuring rod to see if they're your real friend? Well, you can be transparent with them. You can be real. You can be authentic. My house is a mess sometimes, and guess what? So is yours. Unless you're super OCD, then it's a mess sometimes. You're not always put together. But a real friend is transparent. They'll let you see their decisions. This is something that is a kind of a plague on our culture of friendships right now in America, is that there's people that say, be my friend, show up for me, be there, but don't speak any truth into my life. I don't want to share what decision I'm making. I don't want to invite you into that process because I don't want you to tell me that I should do something different. You just tell me to follow my heart all the time, and you never tell me that this is a bad decision, a wrong decision, an unhealthy decision. You just be my fan. Just like my decisions, comment on my posts, give me claps and attaboys, and never say anything bad to me. But a real friend will be transparent enough to invite friends into those moments, but also then to be invited into the moments on the flip side and to speak real truth and candor and love to people. This is why Proverbs 27 tells us that open rebuke is better than secret love. It goes on to say in the next verse that faithful are the wounds of a friend, but the kisses of an enemy are deceitful. Open rebuke and the faithful wounds of a friend, those are both talking about truth-telling. That you'll tell your friend the truth sometimes, even if it hurts. Even if they don't want to hear it, you'll give them that feedback and you'll be there for them. But secret love, a love that says, I'm just going to cover that up, I'm going to hide that, I don't want to talk about it, I love them too much to tell them the truth. No, you love yourself too much to go through the pain of telling them the truth. It's not that you love them, you love you. A real friend will be transparent and authentic and will be willing to speak the truth in love to their friend at times and to say, hey, here's a blind spot. Hey, you're missing this. Hey, don't behave this way. Let me help you see the reality. Proverbs 29 talks about flattering neighbors and how they set a net or a trap for those that they're flattering. Meaning that when you can't tell someone the truth, but you constantly just want to give them what you think they want to hear, you may as well put their foot in a bear trap. You're hurting them. Side note, the more power you have and the more money you have, the more people are prone to do this to you. You have to know this. The higher you go up the org chart at work, the more likely it is that those that are at work will not tell you the truth. They'll flatter you because they don't want to tell you a hard truth because they're scared of what you can do to them with your power or how you won't leverage your power on their behalf. The more money you have, the more people will want access to that, and the more they'll be prone to give you flattering words and they won't tell you the truth. It's actually harder to have friends with money and power than in some ways if you didn't have as many means. This is the reality of what a bad friend looks like and what a good friend looks like. A good friend will be transparent and open, and they'll speak the truth. I heard Tim Keller say years ago in a sermon on friendship, I put the sermon in your notes actually if you want to go listen to it. It's based off of John 15, where he said a good friend always lets you in and never lets you down. That was his summary. His summary of constancy and transparency was they're always going to let you in, they're going to be transparent and vulnerable, they're going to be open, and they're never going to let you down. They're going to show up, they're going to be there, they're going to be constant in your life. Now, if you're anything like me, you hear this and you think, that's a little bit overwhelming that I would need to be that for other people. I'm going to need to be there and show up and not expect anything in return, just to be a friend for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 people. That's a lot. I'm going to be vulnerable and open. I'm going to let them into my life and let them see me. That's not always the easiest thing. I'm going to speak truth and love to them. That's not the easiest thing. How am I supposed to do this? Where do I get the resources for this? And this is the beauty of Christian doctrine, that Christians have long said, even if there's cultural impediments to friendship, Christians have an advantage when it comes to our friendships because of our relationship with Jesus. That there is an example and a resource and a friend in Jesus that he not only teaches us, but shows us what a real friend is like. And if you show me your friends, I'll show you your future. And if Jesus is in your friend portfolio, it's going to have a massive bearing on your future. You say, what do you mean by that? I think maybe the best way to show you this is with 2 verses from John 15. And these are the last 2 that I'll give you. This is hours before Jesus goes to the cross. Jesus has had a tribe, a band of brothers, a pool of associates that have been his disciples, namely 12, who have been with him, and you would presume that they were just his friends. But that was not really the relationship. They were very friendly, and Jesus was there for them, and Jesus gave them truth. But he was the rabbi and the master and the teacher, and they were the student and the pupil, the disciple, the servant. That was the relationship and the dynamic. And Jesus has this moment with them where he says, guys, this is changing. No more master-servant. We're going friends now. And here's what he says. Listen to this. Greater love has no man than this, than a man lay down his life for his friends. You want to know if a friend is really constant and faithful and true? They'd go so far as to give their life for you. They could not be a better friend, and they could not have greater love than that. They give their life. Next verse. Henceforth, from now on, I call you not servants. You're not servants anymore. Because the servant knows not what his Lord does. The servant is not aware of what's happening and why it's happening. They're not privy to that information. They're not let in. There's not transparency with a servant. It's just do what I say, the end. Say yes, sir. Listen to it. I have called you friends, for all things that I've heard of my Father I've made known unto you. Now what is Jesus saying? Jesus is saying what I want in my relationship with you is I want to be your friend. I'm calling you a friend, because I've let you in. I'm not holding anything back. All that I have from the Father, I've given you the information. There's not secret pockets of information that I've somehow suppressed from you. That's not how it is. I've let you know who the Father is. I've let you know that there's a heaven. I've let you know that you can go there. I've let you know about life and how life is well lived. I've let you into everything. You've lived with me. You've eaten with me. You sleep with me. Like this is all here. We travel together. We're a band of brothers. I'm as transparent as I could possibly get. And I want to be constant. Friends are faithful. Watch this. I'll go be faithful. I will be faithful to the cross. And what happens over the next 24 hours? They abandon him. They run from him. They deny him. They tuck their tails and they run. They are anything but constant. And Jesus says, I'll be constant for you. I'll be faithful for you. I'm going to still go to the cross for you. I'm going to be as open and as vulnerable as you could possibly get, literally and physically. You can't get more open and vulnerable than arms stretched, hands nailed. I will do this for you. Why? Because you're my friends. There is a moment that is happening here where Jesus is inviting not just his disciples, but he's inviting every disciple. He's inviting every person to be his friend. Lord, yes. Master, yes. Savior, yes. But friend, yes. This is something that is so unbelievably beautiful and unique, where we are invited to be the friend of God. And you say, well, if he wants to be my friend, how do I be his friend? What do I do? Do I get baptized? Is that how I become his friend? Do I go to church a lot? Do I be a good person? What do I do? Well, actually, the verse before this, Jesus says, you are my friends if you keep my commandments. You want to be my friend? Put me in charge of your life. I'll be your friend. I'll die for you. I'll tell you the truth. Jesus is on record. Look at his words. He says some hard things. He says, you're a mess, you're a sinner, you're broken, like all of you humans. You've done some damage to yourself, and you've done some damage to people, and you're going to stand before God, and you're going to give an account for it one day. And if you think that you're going to stand before God and just tell him all the good stuff you've done, and that's going to go well for you, think again. You're going to have a hard moment on Judgment Day, but if you'll have me be your friend and you'll put me in charge of your life, you'll believe on me, you'll make me Lord and Savior of your life, I will be more than Lord and Savior. I will be your friend. You'll be my plus one on Judgment Day. I'll be like, God, let him into heaven because he's with me. Not because of what they've done, because of what I've done. I'll stand for you. I'll give you my righteousness. I'll save you. I'll clean you. I'll forgive you. Like, he has an offer of friendship that surpasses anyone else's. And Christians have long said, if we know what it's like to have that friend in our life, the one who's faithful. Faithful are the wounds of a friend. No one had more wounds that were more faithful than Jesus when he dies on the cross. Vulnerable, open, transparent. If we have him as a friend in our life, then we have the resources, the model, the example, and the power to be able to be good friends to other people. So there is, I think, a great note here when you talk about the person of Jesus, that if you're a Christian in the room, you better know that you need Jesus to give you the resources and power to go be a good friend to other people, which is an overwhelming task. It is. But if you're not a Christian in the room, you better know that Jesus wants to be your friend. He died for your sins, he rose from the dead, and he offers friendship. He will take you just as you are if you'll take him just as he is. If you'll accept him, he'll accept you and he'll be your friend today. I don't know your story. I don't know if you've ever done that, but I want to invite you to if you never have. Because there's nothing better than you could do than to become literally the friend of God. The constant, transparent, faithful, vulnerable one who will never let you down and will always let you in.
We pray that today's message has been an encouragement to your heart. At Harvest to You, we're passionate about sharing gospel-centered content that brings hope and truth to people's lives. We understand that not everyone watching this is in a position to give, and if that's you, we would genuinely value your prayers for this ministry. But if God has blessed you financially, we'd love to invite you to join our tribe and support what God is doing here. And as a way of saying thanks, I'd love to send you a copy of my new book, The Prayer Jesus Gave. To give and get a copy of this book, just visit harvesttouorg/give. We so appreciate your gift.